What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody's had a great Thirsty Thursday. Tomorrow's finally freaking Friday, and then the weekend is here. Another week is just about in the books. It gets us another week closer to the kickoff of the NFL season and for training camp. Do you realize, I want you to realize, 1 month from today, 1 month from today, the Dallas Cowboys will be on, well, some of the Dallas Cowboys, okay, because we know Dak's not playing, Zeke's not playing, we know the starters aren't playing. But guys wearing the Dallas Cowboys uniforms will be playing against guys wearing the Los Angeles Rams uniform. 1 month from today. I'll be there. I'll be there, and I'll be bringing you footage from there. We'll get a chance to see Trey Lance and everything else. But can I talk to you about something real here tonight that I don't know that anybody else has really been talking about this? But this, I think, in a nutshell, is our problem. You know, Game Time Brian and I, last year when it seemed like we were doing things a little different, they had seemingly got Diggs' contract done. At the beginning of training camp, the Cowboys had made trades for Brandon Cooks and for Stephon Gilmore. And all of a sudden, for a minute there, I felt like the Cowboys, that maybe Stephen Jones finally started getting it. Finally started doing some of the things that it actually takes to win in today's NFL. And I remember having the conversation with Game Time Brian and, saying, hey, maybe Stephen Jones finally gets it. And Brian was smart enough to say, yo, bro, Stephen Jones needs to, he needs to get in there and get the work done. Get these contracts taken care of. Because, last year we were talking about getting CD and Dak Prescott done. Last year this time. And here we are, a year later, and we haven't gotten these things done. Here's where it's a concept. You rely on things that you know. High school, I was offensive guard. Played football at JMU, I was a nose guard. I have an affinity for linemen because that's what I know. I understand about holding the line. I understand about dropping the anchor, when you're getting double teamed. I understand feeling pressure and fighting the pressure because that's going to lead you to the ball. You rely on the things that you know. Stephen Jones was a cornerback / linebacker, okay? I forgot what you call it, but basically it's a hybrid role, position flex. And that's what Stephen Jones knows. And his whole mentality is, you can do multiple jobs. You're a Swiss Army knife. And see, that, my friends, is what's killing the Cowboys. And you can look throughout the Cowboys situation. They get Lyle Collins. Lyle Collins was an incredible guard. The way he could pull and run downfield, taking out two guys, it was like, nah. We want you to be a tackle. Rico Gathers, tight end. Kind of skinny, kind of tall, former basketball player. Could jump well and catch the ball. Nah, we want you to be a blocking tight end. So get him to put on weight. He could no longer run the way he used to before and could not jump and seemed to be lost. Where he used to look like he could run like a gazelle, he looked like it was painful seeing him run. Ruined that guy. When it comes to defensive ends, you look at defensive ends like Tyron Crawford and say, He can do the dirty work because he can play tackle as well as defensive end. In reality, he was really too small to be an effective every down tackle. And he wasn't really quick enough to be an effective defensive end. He could do both of them, but he wasn't great at either. Sometimes it works, where we drafted Tyler Smith and we wanted to make him a tackle eventually, but it ended up being that, yeah, he was a good tackle, but he's a great guard. And they kept him back where he actually should be. They constantly look and they say, you know, Overshown's hurt. It's okay. We've got Van Der Esch, even though Van Der Esch has always been Glass Joe, one hit away from being injured. Great player when he's healthy, but your best ability is your availability. Instead of saying, we have to get linebackers, position flex, safety, he can play linebacker, which is true, because a safety is kind of a hybrid linebacker and cornerback. Generally speaking, you don't want a safety to be covering a number one. He's not fast enough to be effective. Can he do? Yes, he can, but he's not going to be good at it. You want a safety playing linebacker? Yeah, he can play it, but he's really not big enough to do that. And see, Shopsmith. Okay, I'm going to put this maybe in a different term, woodworking wise. When I was a little kid, my dad had my parents' house was a farm, and we had an old building that was the meat house. It was a big building, pretty good size, that they used to smoke the meats in. In that meat house, I remember being about 10, 11 years old, my dad had a Shopsmith Mark II. Now, Shopsmith is a table saw, okay? It's a convertible piece of equipment. It's a table saw, it's a drill press, it's a disc sander, it's a horizontal boring jig, and it's a wood lathe, okay? You can do all these things with it. It's great because you take off the table saw blade and everything else, and the table, boom, you put the head in the stock, you got a wood lathe. You can actually raise it up, and you can end up using it. It's a drill press. You can take that, put it back down, put the disc on it, put the table back on it. You can do a multitude of things. But for me, because I do a lot of cabinet making, I'm better off having a bigger table saw. Because the table for the table saw is only this big. Does it cut? Yes, it cuts. Cuts nice straight cuts. Clean cuts. But I need a bigger table saw with a bigger fence, right? And converting from one piece of equipment to another when you're doing a lot of work, it just doesn't work. You can do the job, but not quite the same. That's why in my workshop, I have a wood lathe, a real big one, big heavy bed. I've got a table saw, I've got a drill press. I've got a belt sander that's an edge sander. That's got, the drum on the end of it. I got a thickness sander. I've got all of these tools because they all do something specific, perfect. I can't take my table saw and turn on like I can on the lathe. It's not made to do that. But when I got to cut a big sheet of plywood, man, that thing goes through it like hot butter. And see, that's the issue. Stephen Jones is always looking for a bargain. Instead of going out and saying, I need a guy who only knows how to deal with the caps and contracts, you get a guy who used to work for Marketplace Grill. He's your guy you take care of the cap and the contracts and things. Understanding that, yeah, he can kind of do them, but not the same as a guy whose only focus is dealing with the cap. Your position flex was, we can take Tony Pollard, who's an outside runner, and instead of him just being an outside runner, and let's get a guy to bang in the middle, you basically said position flex. He can play inside and outside. He's a running back. It doesn't make any difference. And that was the problem. You didn't have a guy who was a short yardage specialist. You didn't have a guy who specialized in running between the tackles. And what you did to Tony Pollard was the thing that he did best, you negated because you screwed him up, flexing him into the middle of the field. He got battered and bruised and slowed down. And this, my friends, is what's killing the Cowboys. Instead of going out and saying, our linebackers are all injured, we need to get real linebackers, we position flex safeties to try and stop in the middle. Instead of going out and saying, I need a one technique guy, because I'm going to tell you from personal experience, a three technique is not a one technique guy. Can he play? Yes, he can, but not well. It's two totally different positions. If you are a three technique, you're about a yard away from the guy in front of you. You're used to having to take that step. You are able to see things because it's further away. A one technique, you got your nose right there at the football with a guy's helmet who is this far away from you. It is hand-to-hand combat. And you have to understand that when I engage this guy, that I might be getting hit in the hip by this guy, or I might be getting hit in the hip by this guy. And when it happens, I gotta understand that I gotta drop pressure and get to the ground, dropping the anchor. And a three technique guy, that doesn't happen. And until we start to realize that you need guys that do one job, not multiple ones, because I get tired of everybody saying, well, Micah Parsons is a good edge rusher, but he's not taking the time to be a great linebacker. That's position flex, guys. I need Micah Parsons to be the best guy rushing the quarterback. That's going to be his job. I need to find somebody else who's going to be the linebacker, and that's going to be his job. And these are things that are killing the Cowboys. Position flex. Yeah. It's one of those things you'll hear Stephen Jones, we like position flex. All right, you good people. Monty Kiffin, 84 years of age, passed away. And time keeps on rolling on. I always end these things with, remember to tell the people you love how you feel about them, because you don't know when your time's up. When I was watching Game Time Brian's live stream today, I was watching it while I was driving back down here. And somebody had commented that Mark needs to slow down. At 58, I know I ain't got as much road in front of me as I have behind me. And there's a lot of things that I still have to do before it's my time. And I don't know how much time that is. So each and every day, I make sure the people I love know how much I love them. And I try and pack as much into the day as I can. I appreciate you good people. And God willing, I'll see you all tomorrow. And I love you.